Hi, everyone. So today we are going to talk about chapter 11, mediated relationships. Okay, so before we talk about this, I want you to try to recall what we have learned at the beginning of this term, this semester. Okay, so there are three models of communication process, which are, first one, linear model, which also called action model. What's that? Do you remember?
What, interaction model?
No, linear model.
Oh, linear model is just if there isn't any interaction, like a monologue, like one person talking and there's no response.
Right. Okay. So for those of you who don't remember, please go back to chapter 1. Okay. Interaction model, we add sender send a message to receiver through channel and expect the receiver to give some feedback, right? And there are some noise in this model. There is a context in the model. Okay, that's interactional model. What's next? Transactional model. What is this?
Just like you and I are doing right now, we're talking back and forth.
Right, and everything happens at the same time. And then when you talk, when you send a message to the other person is also a sender. So both of you are sender and receiver. Okay, because based on facial expression, like what Mark is doing, he nods his head. This also says something. Okay, so these are the three communication models. They explain interpersonal communication. However, nowadays, it's not only about interpersonal. Because of technology, we use a lot of technology to communicate. That's why we are going to talk about some mediated relationship here. Next one. Right. Oops.
Okay.
Go back. Go back. No, go back.
Oh, sorry. Okay.
Okay.
There we go.
So there are three different types of mediated communication: synchronous, asynchronous, impersonal, hyperpersonal, information types. Okay, so we are going to go over each of them. The first one is synchronous versus asynchronous, right? So what you are watching now is what? Asynchronous. Okay, so basically Mark and I record everything beforehand, before the class begins. And then you watch the video. So it doesn't happen at the same time. When you want to communicate with us, you need to email us, right? Do you want to add anything?
No, I was just going to say, it's not happening simultaneously, like you said, not at the same time, right?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
But for some synchronous class, you probably have some, like you need to attend the class at a certain time, right? And have real interaction. Okay, so yeah, here is an example: synchronous communication. They occur simultaneous. Phone, FaceTime, room, text messages.
And text message is a tricky one, right? Because synchronous can be back and forth if we're doing it, right? Or I can text you and you don't get back to me right away.
Right, so and they will become asynchronous, right? So go to next one. Yeah, so you can see text message. It can also be seen as asynchronous communication. Okay, right. Email, online forum, text messages. So it depends on how you use this channel, and you can decide. Next one. Another type of mediated communication is impersonal and hyperpersonal. So what's impersonal? Communication that occurs in order to facilitate some types of transactions, and that is based primarily on social rules. So what does it mean? Like when you call to a Chinese restaurant, say, "Oh, I want to order orange chicken." So you treat the other person, because the other person is a servant or I don't know, a person there. So you call her or call him based on the person's role. But if it's interpersonal, remember earlier we mentioned interpersonal, then you treat the other person is based on your relationship, right? Okay, with more emotion.
Right.
Okay. So what's hyperpersonal? Communication that has a higher level of affection, emotion, liking, like all these things. Okay, online support group. That's what we call hyperpersonal. Okay, so sometimes for some people, I remember when I did a research on breast cancer survivors. They have online support group, so people go there to share like their while they struggle with their chemo treatment, and they can get some support from each other. Okay, and there's another term called catfishing. Do you want to explain this a little bit?
Sure, which you're probably familiar with, but this is like pretending to be somebody else basically online in order to try to get something from someone. So we're going to watch a video right now. I actually happened to be kind of channel surfing the other day, and I saw this on Dr. Phil. So this basically, the story is a couple of women contacted the show and said their mother's being catfished, and she refuses to admit it. So Dr. Phil to the rescue. This is about 2.5 minutes long altogether.
Now, Lois admits that she has gone bankrupt from her online relationships, but currently engaged, thankfully, to a good, honest man.
One of the first people that I met was the general. I fell in love with him. He served in the military and he needed help getting his luggage back to the United States. The luggage is filled with gold, money, and jewelry, and he's still trying to get it here to me. I paid approximately $70,000 to get his luggage. I am still trying to get the luggage. The delivery driver wants $2,500 to deliver the luggage. About 5 months ago, I met Fred Adler. Fred is an honest guy that I felt like would have made me a good soulmate. His son goes to school in Australia and his wife passed away. Fred finally made it to New York. I would call and I would text and I never got a response from Fred. I thought that Fred died on the streets of New York City. My nickname was Strawberry. I named him Chocolate. I'm sorry I saved his life. I felt like from Africa. About 2 weeks ago, I met a wonderful man named Paul Shaw. Paul is a clean-cut guy, and I feel like he is a very honest man. Paul is exactly what I'm looking for. Paul has a daughter named Angela. She's 24 years old, and she does go to an university in Scotland. Paul is currently in Nigeria taking care of his uncle's estate. He's trying to get his settlement right now. It was over $2.5 million. At the moment, Paul needs $2,300 so he can get home. I love Paul. Paul and I are engaged, and as soon as he gets back, we're planning on getting married and buying a house together. When it comes to my fiance, Paul, I feel like I'm not being scammed by him. He has been honestly truthful to me. My daughter, Candace, and my sister are upset every time I talk to somebody online. They think it's a scam. I feel like they need to stay out of my business, really. I would love it if Dr. Phil would bring Paul home to me. Yes, I would. I'd have nothing but that. Everybody else I haven't seen yet.
Okay, so there you have it, huh? This woman continues to fall for this because, you know, people like this prey on the lonely. You know, they people who are just want some companionship. And, you know, I think this story,
first of all, do you think it's catfishing? Is a scam?
Is a scam?
Is it from your perspective, right?
Yeah.
Right? I think from outsider, when we hear this kind, I also heard several of these kind of cases, like not in my group, but like in some online forum, and it's so common. Right.
Well, I think it was this story where they actually brought on that second guy, the guy whose pictures had been being used, and him saying, "I'm not the guy. I've never contacted you. You're getting pictures of me, and you think it's me, but it's not. We don't know who it is." And for someone, I mean, think of it. For someone to $70,000 to someone you don't know with under this kind of a, I mean, there's two ways to feel about this, I guess. Well, if you're stupid enough to do it, but the other thing is, you know, people, they prey on people's weakness. They're in a weak spot in their life that they're, you know, agreeing to do this.
Yeah, feel so sorry. So anyhow, next, another type of type of mediated communication. It's information types. Okay, so there are some social media allow members to connect with others that they know offline or who share similar interests, like Facebook. And also we have some social media allow you to stream commercially produced media while also sharing recommendations with friends in social network. Okay, so the first part is like Facebook. You probably, when you see a lot of Facebook friends, you know these people in your life, in your daily life already. Okay, and for Netflix or Spotify, say, oh, I like this song, I can share. So I can share this with my friends as well. Next one. Blogging sites allow users to post entries with text, photo, video, and even music for followers. Right. I think right now blog is not a popular thing for this generation. What's the popular thing here in their generation?
Slides are already outdated. Look, no, you have to keep them
I
up
know,
on a daily
I
basis.
feel bad.
On a daily basis. Oh, I think like, well, I mean, this isn't exactly parallel with blogging, but I think like Instagram or, you know, are, you know, that or TikTok are like that have kind of taken over.
So maybe we should change blogging to Instagram to make us feel younger. Okay. So you can tell that different type of information that people share. So here is mediated communication. Think about your own Facebook friends list, the people that follow you on Twitter and the people whom you have exchanged emails or text message in the past week. How many of them are people that you have met in person? Okay, so think about this thing. And next, I think there's one more thing. Okay, so mediated communication often serve as a way to grow, enhance, and maintain relationship with people we already know. Okay, so again, this textbook, or like when we first think about mediated communication, social media is a channel for us to build connections with our loved one or our friends. But right now, you can follow someone, like some celebrities on Instagram. You can follow some like famous athletes, okay,
on Twitter.
On Twitter. See, there's someone you don't know,
right,
in person. So see, even now, I think everything's changed slightly, step by step.
So for an activity, write down, you know, how many people have you met in person? That can be your activity this time, right? In your notes. You know, how many have you, how many don't you know, and why do you think that is? For instance, Dr. Cheng and I have very different approaches for this, and I'm a little jealous because I kind of like yours better. I have over 3,000 friends on Facebook. Most of them I probably don't know, you know, but we have a lot of mutual connections, and I also have people that I've known through work and other ways. So if you don't have people you know, why do you on social media, why do you think that is? And has that caused you any problems? For instance, if I'm going to have anyone, because I tend to post something, political things once in a while, and you know, sometimes there's fallout and disagreement between people on there, you know, who have never met each other before. And one of them, you know, they're friends of mine. I mean, a couple people I became friends with just because they had the same name as me. And we thought it would be funny, you know, and I found out their political beliefs could not be more different than mine. And that's been a little strange. So like, why do you have those people, and what has the fallout been?
Yeah, I think this will be interesting. Just share your experience, share what you think. Feel like, yeah, like Mark said, we have different approach. I only have maybe 100, a little bit more Facebook friends, and I regularly organized. Like, so, oh, I haven't communicated with this person for a long time, or maybe I'm not interested in this person, or like this person is not interested. When I say interest, like I don't care like this person anymore. I probably just delete this person, you know. So it's probably I only want to keep some like people that I really care or I want to know.
And sometimes even that is, I have a friend and she's one of my dearest friends, but my God, she posts a photo every morning of what shoes she's wearing. Do I really care? Like, I mean, you know, so sometimes even though they're your good friends, you just think, oh my gosh, really? This is, you know, kind of a time waster. Okay.
Okay, so next one, media impact messages. So there are 3 primary ways that media impact messages in interpersonal relationships. So it can modify messages and lead to other message use and communicate about relationships. And next slide, we're going to. So the first thing, they can modify messages. So think about if you are going to tell your friends, oh, how do I say? I'm getting married, for example. What are you going to post on Instagram, Facebook, email, phone call to your grandparents, or like, so you have, when you use different format, different channel, the message you write will be different. Okay, do you have any other example? Here is also.
Well, I have an example. I had a niece whom I love. You know, I think she texted her parents and said, "Oh, I'm engaged." Well, I mean, that is, I mean, and they have a good relationship, but I think it speaks to the you know, she was probably in her early 20s at that point, and this wasn't long ago, and I think it just speaks to the generation. You know, that's how they're used to communicating. But what she did is she deprived her parents of that in-person, right, face-to-face or over the phone even, or FaceTime of, oh my gosh, look what happened to me, and they didn't get to enjoy that moment. They had to read it on their phone, as impersonally as that was done.
My parents probably will kill me if I do this to them. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, so media can, that's why we say media can modify messages. Okay. Next one. More. Media. So there's a theory. Yeah, there's a theory called media richness theory. So you choose the mode of communication based on the richness of the message. Okay, so there's a message called lean message. They are straightforward. Okay, so maybe you can just email and text message. We are meeting at 12 or 12:30. Okay, basically this is what we usually do like almost every day, right?
Right, we do.
1:30.
Yeah. So, but you know, but again, it's information, right? The emotion is out of it. It's lean. It's just the information. Perfect for texting.
Right. However, on the other hand, for rich messages, they include complex and potential emotional content. This better like when you communicate using face-to-face or over the phone.
Right. Just like we talked about, or the example here earlier is someone's passed away. You know, again, put yourself in the receiver's spot. Put yourself in their shoes. Is this something that you would want to receive, this type of information, by a text? Or does it warrant, out of a respect level, at more than that? A phone call, right? FaceTime, Zoom.
Okay, so again, think from your receiver's perspective. Okay, this is really important. Okay, next. Media leads to other media use. Okay, so it's just a part of a casual chance. Okay, so for example, you send a friend a text message and get a friend to initiate a phone call. I probably was saying a text message to my sister, say, oh, I had a bad day. And she will call me immediately and say, what's going on? So text message is one channel. Phone call is the other channel.
Yeah, that's a great example. That's a great example.
And another example here, a Facebook post might cause a co-worker to stop by your desk and ask how you are doing, right? So that's why we say media lead to other media use. Okay.
Which is, I think, a smart way of using it, right?
Yeah, I think sometimes you just want to announce something.
Yes.
Okay. Media communicates about the relationship. Types of media used in a relationship communicate something about the relationship. Okay, like what you mentioned, like if you tell your parents, okay, I'm engaged by text message, your parents probably will get hurt, right? So, oh my God, like, you just text me. Why don't you just call me? Why don't you tell me in person, right? If you really care about the relationship, or if you think this is really important to the receiver, you probably will do it different. Okay. See, as we become closer to or more distant from particular individuals, the number of channels or type of media through which we communicate might also increase or decrease. Okay, so think about, okay, so all of you, think about like, how many, for one person, how many channels you will use like, at once. Okay, can you click one more time? Okay. People communicate with those they are closest to via several media, but only use email to communicate with coworkers.
Right.
Like when you try to communicate with me, you probably just use email. But when Mark and we try to communicate with the other, we have text message. Probably we can use email. And sometimes it's emergency, we call each other.
Right.
So because of relationship, so we increase the number of channels.
Right. And it's not just based on the status or the position, right? It's based on, like you're saying, the relationship with someone. For instance, another professor, you know, who's our program director, she and I are close enough that I can text her too. Now, our department chair, we get along swimmingly and I have a lot of respect for her, but we're not at that level, right? I wouldn't text her because, you know, even though she's at a similar place, you know, I wouldn't text her just because that, you know, that wouldn't feel right. It wouldn't be received, you know, and it wouldn't be received well unless it was really something dire or an emergency and I had to get a hold of her.
Okay, next. So there are some benefits and challenges of mediated communication. The thing about in workplace, it allows for community. Okay, so especially nowadays, like during the pandemic, there's a whole situation. Right now, like Zoom is one thing that you will use normally, right? And so it might reduce group solidarity and team effectiveness. What do you think, Mark?
Yeah, no, totally. Because what happens is, you know, you don't have a chance in the group to kind of in person. You don't have the same, you know, chance for feedback and necessarily, you know, in a synchronous fashion to have that in the workplace, like you could in the workplace if you were communicating face to face.
Right. So okay, more. So it's also in long distance relationship, right? Cost effectiveness, save time, allow a sense of connectedness across space. Okay, so long distance relationship is hard, right? It's hard to maintain. So because of technology, so you can see the person FaceTime, use Skype, probably not use Zoom, but like different way to feel you are connected with each other. But it might feel too connected because you can still like check, where are you now? What are you doing now? Right?
Yeah. Right. Well, I think too, you know, the hard part is that sometimes we expect a response, right, quicker than the other. Like we're operating synchronously and the other person's operating asynchronously, right? They're not expecting, and so we wonder, why haven't we heard back? Why? And it can get bumpy where just a simple phone call could have solved everything. And I think this last bullet about, you know, it might have a negative effect. I know it does for me. Sometimes I get riled up. Sometimes I don't enjoy Facebook. There's been a lot of studies around it leading to depression because people get, you know, overwhelmed by everyone else's success they see and all of that. So it's not necessarily positive.
Okay, next. feel the lining is kind of like weird, so I don't. So in my result, ideally in your relationship, since it's long distance relationship, it's hard for you to know this real person. Is that?
Yes. Okay, the how-to, right?
Mm-hmm. So what should you do in order to have good mediated relationship? Firstly, be honest. Okay, I feel like I see be honest in almost every chapters, right? Because in the relationship, you just need to be honest with the other person. Okay, next one. Consider if the medium fits the message.
Mhm.
Okay, if you want, I think we already provide
talked about,
examples,
yeah.
right? Take care with what you share. Okay, what you share on Facebook, what you share on Instagram is a breaker for you, right? As an employer, then you don't want your boss or your manager see some of your pictures online, right?
Right.
Next.
Right. And that should always be the litmus test. Is this okay for my parents to see? Is this okay for my employer or potential employer to see? Mm-hmm.
Okay, avoid using media to maintain relationship. Well, sometimes it's the way it is. Do you want to add anything?
No, I think you're right.
One?
I mean, you know full well, sometimes you have to do this, but I think that when you have the opportunity to communicate, right, more in person, and you're having this drive it, it's almost like it has the propensity to put a wedge between the two of you because you're not spending enough time face to face.
If you can have a relationship in person, just do it. Don't use media. Okay, interact online as if you are face to face. Well, yeah, be honest, be yourself.
Yes.
Okay.
Don't pose as anyone else, but.
Yep.
Well, that's it.
Okay, cool. So this is chapter 11, mediated relationship. I think this chapter is pretty straightforward and easy to understand. And you probably know more than us.
Yeah, really. You could, yeah, right. We're in the wrong seats here. No, thanks, everybody.
Okay, let's see you next chapter.
See you next time.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.